How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to 2A News Now. I hope everybody's doing well, and I appreciate everybody that takes time watching my videos. I have a really unique Second Amendment story to tell you. An Indiana man that is blind was able to get his concealed weapons permit and then turned around and complained how easy it was. Wait, what? Yes, it's true. The guy's name is Terry Sutherland, and he was just recently able to get his concealed weapons permit in Indiana. And evidently, he didn't get his concealed weapons permit just to carry a firearm. He did it because he wants to have a conversation about having reasonable gun legislation in the state of Indiana. He said when he went to the city-county building to get his fingerprints taken for his concealed weapons permit, he was using his white cane. And when going through the process, he spoke to a few people that knew that he was blind. And he said the process went very smoothly and normally. And nobody really seemed to think about a blind man was getting a concealed weapons permit. And he said to himself it was mind-boggling. He said it shocked him more than he expected. He thought at the last second somebody would say, wait a minute. But he said that didn't happen. And now Mr. Sutherland said since he was able to get a concealed weapons permit and he is blind, that shows there's a problem with Indiana's gun laws. And Mr. Sutherland says he thinks he has a solution for this. And that's to do what some other states require people to do to get a concealed weapons permit. And that's to pass a competency test at a gun range before people are allowed to carry a gun in public. He said, I think competency with a lethal weapon is the bare minimum we can do. I remember a long time ago when I lived in Florida and got my concealed weapons permit. You did have to prove that you could handle a firearm. And of course it's different in other states. But all you had to do is just go to the range. They handed you a .22 revolver and they put the target right in front of you. It was no more than a foot away. And all you had to do is shoot one shot into the target and then place the pistol down on the counter in a safe manner. And that's what you had to do in Florida. There's a man named Guy Relford, and he's a constitutional rights attorney that mainly deals with Second Amendment cases. And he didn't take too kindly to Mr. Sutherland's idea. And he said, we start putting government-controlled restrictions on a constitutional right. I always think that's dangerous and inappropriate. That's not to say people shouldn't be trained, but society always functions better when people exercise personal responsibility and understand on their own volition that they need to be safe and responsible with a gun. Mr. Sutherland said before he lost his sight as a teenager, he learned how to safely use guns with his family. He says he wants common sense gun laws to keep the public safe and that he is not against the Second Amendment. And then he had to say this, if I can have a gun, why can't I have a driver's license? What's the worst that could happen? I could kill somebody. First of all, I'd like to address his comment when he says, if I can have a concealed weapons permit, why can't I have a driver's license? And then he also mentioned that before he lost his sight, he learned gun safety with his family. Let's say, for instance, he's carrying his firearm and he's outside doing some yard work. And all of a sudden somebody comes up and starts attacking him. He knows it's not a good person that's attacking him. It's a piece of crap that's attacking a blind man. And of course he would be in his right to pull his firearm and shoot that person. Or if he was a passenger in a vehicle and the person that drove the vehicle went into the store and he decided to stay in the car. And once again, the same scenario. Somebody breaks in the window and tries to attack him or carjack the car. He knows that's not a good person. It's an evil person that's trying to do him harm, and he could pull his firearm and end that threat. But most likely he wouldn't make it 10 yards down the road before he hit something. But him trying to make it like they're both the same is way out of whack. But then he says he's for the Second Amendment. I said this a long time ago, that if somebody says, I'm for the Second Amendment, but that means they're not for the Second Amendment. And I personally just think it's a publicity stunt. And who's to say, if you look into it, some Democrat put him up to it. So I'd really like to hear your thoughts about today's story. Do you think it was a publicity stunt, and most likely backed by Democrats? And also, do you think it's okay for a blind person to have a concealed weapons permit? I personally do. And as always, I appreciate everybody that supports the channel, from the people that have been with me for a long time, as well as the thousands of new subscribers that I've received in the past couple of months. And you guys are always crushing it after watching each video by liking, sharing, and subscribing and hitting those post notifications as well as leaving a lot of comments, and I'm very grateful that you do so. And I invite all of you to come back and watch my next video.